Hey, folks, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know, this is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific, and they call me Chris of the Northwest. And we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're attending 17 events in one day, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
Yes, indeedy. Happy Leap Day to all. And tonight we're talking with Team Noltex about when events go wrong. So, welcome back, Team Noltex. Good to see you guys again.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us back. We can't believe you did.
You kept threatening for a long time.
It happens, you know. Eventually the planets align, and here you are. So we're going to talk about events going wrong tonight in live audience. Do you have any thoughts, experiences, things you want to share about events going wrong? Jump into the chat. You know what to do. But first, before we get into that, we need to have a quick reminder that we appreciate the support of our patrons. They help keep this podcast coming each and every week. We want a special thanks to Land Sharks. They are one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. They're having their second annual inventory reduction sale, it says here. There's 20% off on many items, and there's a free trackable gift tag. And who doesn't love something free? All you got to do is spend $25 online or in the store and get that free trackable gift tag. Check it all out at landsharks.ca. The other corporate Denali level sponsor, well, that would be Gold Country Geotourism. You can visit exploregoldcountry.com to learn more about the Geo Tour, the whole region, and don't forget, they have an app to go download, so check that out. You can explore goldcountry.com or go to facebook.com/exploregoldcountry. And folks, if any of you guys would like to know more about supporting the show, click the Patreon link over on that cachingnw.com website, won't you please? Thank you much.
Thank you very much. Well read. Thank you.
Well, blue.
Oh,
well,
that's
okay.
Not what it was, but
okay.
Full of hot air. Hey, if you want to get involved in tonight's show, why don't you use the hashtag events to add that to the chats for tonight's show? That way our chat lackey can find it and we can read it to you. And of course, you can always use the hashtag FTAS to bring up something in the after show. Yes, because FTAS is for the after show.
I've always wondered what that was for.
I know.
Yeah. I thought you just misspelled fast. But anyway, yeah, the after show, it's always fun. But first, we got to get through the show. And we're going to jump into the show with some news. News from Nancy from Geocaching Central. Sent an email out, said, "Greetings, esteemed geocachers." Okay, this is not for me, apparently. It's time to start planning for the 2024 Operation Worldwide Cache Hide Project. There's a mouthful. This year's theme is superheroes.
Nicely said.
If you're not familiar with how the project works, each year geocache hiders from all over the world come together for a mass publishing of themed geocaches. As this year's theme is superheroes and the publishing date is Sunday, April 28th, guess what? That's National Superhero Day. If you'd like to see complete details about the project, go to geocachingcentral.com and click on the Operation Worldwide Cache Hide icon. All hiders will receive a digital participation badge that can be displayed on your geocaching profile page, and another digital badge can be acquired by hosting an Operation Superheroes kickoff event during March. And if that event goes wrong, you'll know what to do after listening to tonight's episode.
That's right.
I thought this was a how to do it wrong.
Oh.
Well, no, I want to give people ideas what to do.
Oh,
we've changed. Yeah, I changed the whole theme on it for you now. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, good. You've got an eraser on your pencil? Yes, you got to start over.
He pulled the rug out from under your feet again, did he?
Oh, we're talking about Earth caches tonight that Land Monkey isn't here.
We are the wrong people.
Okay, we'll stick to events. But speaking of Land Monkey, he sent us a little hello. Let's have a listen.
Hey guys, it is Jay Land Monkey. I am calling into the podcast with a bit of an update from Antarctica. It's evening here. Well, it's evening where the podcast is being played from right now, but we're a few hours ahead, and we have had an amazing time traveling through South America, made our way to Antarctica. If you're following us on social media, you'll see some of our highlights, but there's many more to come. And today was a particularly remarkable day. We are exhausted at the end of the day, but we got to go out kayaking, and Jay, myself, did the polar plunge in Antarctic waters today. So I'm finally kind of getting sense back in my feet. No sense in my head. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But having an amazing trip on this Land Sharks geocaching adventure. And just encourage you to watch for future ones to sign up for, to have your own amazing experience. In the meantime, looking forward to getting back on the podcast when we get back home, but also just enjoying an amazing time away. Have a great show tonight. And remember to hashtag FATAS with all your updates for the show and things you want to chat about after the show. Have a great time, and remember to cache safely and cache often.
Okay, was it just me, or did everybody else hear Land Monkey too? I couldn't see him anywhere. I don't know where he was, but
I don't know.
I thought it was just a voice in my head.
Who is that guy?
Oh, hey folks, what Land Monkey would love to tell you if he were here is that it's contest time. So listeners and viewers, you want a chance to win great prizes by just helping us out? It's easy. Here's how. Positive reviews on podcast hosting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Wherever you download the Caching in the Northwest podcast, it helps us out enormously. Yes, it costs you a little time and creativity, so let us reward you for your effort and support. So leave a helpful review on the service where you download this Caching in the Northwest podcast. Then share a screenshot or link the review on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever social you happen to be using, with the hashtag I love CNW, and maybe a little bit of why you love CNW, right?
Why not?
And that's it. You're automatically entered. You could win a gift from Land Sharks or Tony's Coffee, because, you know, y'all need a little coffee, especially someone like Just Carlo, where to go, who started his day at 2 a.m. to attend a 2:30 event this morning.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm seeing lots of talk about going to events today. That would have been a good thing to do.
You might need some Tony's Coffee for that, because
I would need Tony's Coffee at 2 a.m. That's for sure.
I think I would just stay up.
All right. Well, yeah, get those reviews in. We appreciate each and every one of them. And, you know, you just might win some coffee. Tonight, though, as we mentioned, we're talking with Jeff and Christy Nolta. Together, they comprise Team Noltex. You might have heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Good friends in our geocaching community here. So as I welcomed you earlier, welcome to the show again, because you're repeat guests, as I recall.
Yes, indeed.
Cool. So for anybody that maybe missed that episode or is new to the podcast or new to meeting you guys, why don't you take just a second or two, or take as long as you like. Give a little elevator speech introduction. Tell us where you got your caching name, where you hail from, what your favorite geocache type is.
So we started caching in October of 2003. I had a dollar bill. Remember the Where's George? And I went to the Where's George website, and geocaching had an ad on the Where's George website. I'm like, what is that? So clicked on it and thought that sounded pretty cool. And so we went and actually found our first geocache without a GPS or anything. It was in Wapato Park in Tacoma. And from the location, we knew, pretty much where it had to be.
You kind of see where it was.
It was kind of limited. So went and found that, and then bought a GPS shortly after, and been caching since 2003.
Dragged the family along. The kids were small then, and did a lot of caches together as a family.
Yeah. So, when you sign up, you have to come up with a name. Our last name is Nolta. Our son had just recently had to do a bridge building project in
For
school and had to have a company name. And so Noltex sounded, it's playing our
High
name
tech,
and high tech,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
for building bridges. And so since the kids were caching with us, then it was Team Noltex. And over the years, the team has dwindled a bit. Um, but the founding members are still here.
That's right.
So
Kind of core central.
the core
members,
central
yeah.
members. I guess over the years we've kind of waxed and waned with geocaching. At times, caching a whole lot more. Never been about numbers for us, or that doesn't drive us at all.
Yeah, we
It's-
prefer quality over quantity for sure.
And it's always been about let's go in caches that that just some, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be the cache. It's the
Yeah.
location or whatever, but something
Right.
that makes
So
it interesting.
Favorite caches are probably things with a that bring you to a cool place,
Mhm.
or things that are hidden in a clever way or have a clever container. We do like to cache when we're taking trips.
Always cache
So,
during
and
trips.
things that make you have some sort of adventure to get to it. Those are probably our favorites.
Yeah, and if you go to a cache, no matter what it is, and you say at some point, nice, then it was a good cache. Doesn't matter what it was about it, if it was the container, the location, the getting there, or whatever. If there was something about it that you just, man, that was good. That's the kind of cache we enjoy. And that kind of guides us when we put out our own caches. It's the golden rule of geocaching. Put out the cache that you want to find.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say that's the kind of cache you hide too, because you've put out some
right, and that's
excellent caches.
that's the ones we put out.
Yeah.
Is if it's a cache that I would enjoy finding, then then okay, it's one I might then that's what I want to put out there.
Yeah.
But you probably wanted to hear about our event.
Well, actually, you're most well known for your excellent gadget caches that you have built.
Yeah.
Oh,
There have been some excellent ones.
Yes, there have been.
And again, kind of like going and finding caches are putting out caches is kind of the same. It goes in fits and starts, and you'll get an idea about something and build it, or
yeah, and a lot of times we'll get ideas and kind of bounce them off each other and expand on them that way.
a lot of them start with a challenge from her to me that I bet I don't know if you could do this or not.
Well,
And,
the whole clue game that we did in Tacoma a few years ago, so that was probably 2019, where we got the whole community involved in hiding caches that were essentially each a piece, like a clue in the clue game, like the board game, where one, it's a person, or it's an item, or it's a location. And then Jeff constructed a final that you dialed in the answers and it spoke to you and told you if you had it right. That was really amazing. And that did start out as kind of do you think you could do this? Because this would be really fun. Of course, it's not as much fun when he's struggling to make all the electronics work.
a gentleman, a geocacher in Germany, actually helped me with getting the programming done on that.
Thank goodness for that
Awesome.
geek in Germany, because he was too. He was like all about all this coding and stuff, and he's like, he was on vacation or something, and he's contacting you and doing
During the
this
time we were
coding.
building it, we both went on vacation at different times, and we were still communicating with me. I took some of the electronics with me on a hunting trip, and since the time zones were so different, I'd get back at night and I'd get online with him, and we'd talk about it, and I'd plug in my electronics, and we'd try to work through some of the problems. And I think it got a lot easier when I came to the realization about halfway through the process with him that he really didn't know how the game of Clue worked.
He didn't play that game.
Once I explained all the steps to him, it went a whole lot better
Yeah.
after that, because he didn't know the gameplay of it, and he was trying to help me code this thing. So
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Frustrating to start with, but funny afterwards.
Oh,
yes.
sure.
Yeah. And like your Operation Geocacher, I don't know how we came up with that, but then when we talked about doing the operation game you played as a kid, where you had to take the body
Mhm.
parts out of the little guy, you're the surgeon. I said, well, it would sure be fun if it was a geocacher that you were taking things out of instead of, just the one from the game.
Yeah.
So we got, some artwork, and your sister helped you with that.
My sister's
and
a graphic artist, and so told her what I wanted, and
then
she
we
came up with it.
put things in there like, I don't remember, tweezers in a water bottle and things like that, that you might use when you're geocaching.
A GPS.
Yeah. Just to make it more topical. So that was a fun one.
Enjoyed that
was
one.
a lot of fun. Yeah. You also did The Price is Right.
Yes, and that was a little bit of a joint effort.
So some of those are actually, I've been working on refurbishing some of them, because some of those gadget caches take a beating in the wild. They really do.
Bad but true.
They take a really hard beating, and they're out in the weather, and it's electronics, and so those get glitchy too. So some of those have been down for were archived several years ago, but been working on bringing them back. And so some of them may go back in the same location, some of them may go back in new locations, but I've got 3 or 4 that hopefully will get out.
Yeah, so that Price is Right one, you had the whole Plinko game done and you wanted to just call it Plinko. I said, no, we got to have it more, that it's a Price is Right thing. I said, how about you're the next contestant, like Bob Barker calling you down. So, or Drew Carey, I guess.
I was going to say, who was that?
Anyway, yeah, it shows how old we are. That's all right.
That's who I remember.
Anyway, yes, that's, it just seemed like that was a better name for the cache. You're the next contestant, because the music plays as soon as you'd open it. And it played the theme music. So, so that
I
was
know
fun.
that music so well.
Right.
Try building something like that and having to hear the same music hundreds of times.
or having that right next to your booth at an event. And they're so excited to play it over and over.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
So it's like picking your favorite child, but is there one that stands out as your favorite one?
That I've put out?
Yeah.
Probably not. Well, a non-gadget cache one.
Well, Spoons is kind of a non-gadget,
yeah,
but
it's still a gadget, but it's not electronic.
No, and that was part of what made that good, is that I didn't have electronics to maintain. But the bleeping Spoons cache was a lot of fun, and that one's all refurbished and ready to go out someplace again soon.
And that was another one where I said, this is what the name needs to be, because I tried to play that one and it was so frustrating.
I don't know that you ever.
I'm just like not patient enough or something. And so every time I play it, I'm like, people are going to be cursing when they play this thing. So we just need to go with that bleeping Spoons cache, because that's what they're going to think. So, it turned out to be a good name for it. But I'd say my favorite cache is our Ezekiel's Wheel,
which is a puzzle cache.
Which is a puzzle, and the whole thing is themed together in such a way, including the find. So if you haven't done it, you really need to work on the puzzle or get some help getting the puzzle done, because the whole thing, from the name to the cache page to the hide, is all themed. And that's why I love that one.
Nice.
And it, as a puzzle cache, 50 or something favorites?
It's got a surprising
It's got a very high number of favorites on a puzzle.
For a puzzle that's not necessarily very easy, it's got a lot of favorite points. So
yeah.
I remember one puzzle you guys did, the Buffalo Soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Buffalo.
7 buffaloes in a row are a proper sentence.
Yes.
Yeah. Buffalo, 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 buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo.
I get about
buffaloes, like bison from Buffalo.
Right.
Buffalo, other bison from Buffalo. Buffalo, whatever.
Yeah, and that one.
So that's a fun one too.
Red herrings in it.
Yeah, that one was fun because of all the times you're buffaloed by finding the incorrect coordinates.
I found every red herring.
And that was the way it was designed. I designed it that way because I figured this is the process people are going to do. And they'll go through all of them until they finally come up with a correct answer.
Well, tonight we are talking about events. You guys have hosted some, and I think it'd be good, even very briefly, just to discuss what an event is. It's a get together for geocachers, right? It can be anywhere. You know, it should be in a public place that's easy to get to. You know, timing has to be somewhat important, right? I think the events now have to be at least 30 minutes long.
Right.
They do, and I think a CITO needs to be at least an hour. The community celebration ones, I think, had to be 2 hours.
I think they're 2 hours. Yeah.
The new ones are 2 hours long as well.
Yeah.
Right? I wonder, is there a limit to how long a event can be? I mean, you know,
Well, that's
more
a
than
curious
12
question.
hours.
I don't know. It's not something that I've ever could you have a 24-hour event?
We haven't tested that limit yet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
There you go. Well, we'll have to put
notes.
the research department on that.
Yeah.
So anyway, you know, what are some of the things that you look for when you do an event? What are some of the elements in that event?
Again, the golden rule: put on an event you want to go to.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Because
wow.
because one of the one of the rule guidelines is you have to attend your own event. So
Yes.
So you know, we always want it to be something interesting or fun or unique, or some kind of adventure.
We've done probably about 30 events, including like regular events, CITOs, community celebration. And yeah, we've done a couple that were like not published. We're not even sure what year was the first year that they did events. Do you know?
I want to say 2004 was the first event down in Texas.
Okay.
Okay.
Because
Pulling
the
that
first
off
one,
the
the first one we actually
The first one
Hell.
we did.
wasn't. I don't know if they had events then,
Well, no.
but it wouldn't have fit the guidelines because we got together a group and we're like, how did we set that up? It's like, oh yeah, through the forums.
Remember those old geocaching forums?
Yeah.
Set
So
up a
this
group,
was
get
probably-
together on a to go and find a cache, which of course you cannot. That's not allowed.
Right.
And we must have advertised because we wanted to find this puzzle cache on Anderson Island. And we got together Green Eggs and Ham, Ruck and Bunny Girl, and a couple known as K-Fam, who I don't think cache anymore. And
But
then,
it was to find there was a puzzle cacher. Most of it, he lived on Anderson Island, so most of his caches were out there. Sir to You,
Yes.
yes, put out some very wicked puzzles.
Yeah.
Extremely creative puzzles.
Yeah. With graphic content. I mean, graphics.
yeah, he was quite talented.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went and did this. It was a Giesel the Fierce. It was a Dr. Seuss
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Theodore
And it
Giesel.
it was a wicked bushwhack.
To like a micro. Yeah.
And so got together a group and we went and found that and
that wasn't published because that was, I think, must have been before there were actually true events, because we would have probably otherwise hosted an event, but instead we just published something on the forums and got a group together. But then our first published event was actually
2005.
also on Anderson Island, and we did a mini cache machine out there and had a barbecue afterwards.
We
I
say
remember
mini
that
because there
one.
was like 25 caches on the island at that time,
Maybe.
something
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah.
we had enjoyed going to cache machines, and it was like, well, maybe we should put our own on, but
Yeah.
it's not a real cache machine. It's a mini cache machine. So did that in 2005, but then we had quite the
Then we didn't really put anything else on
a
again
long time
until,
period until I think 2014 was our next. I think
Yeah.
the next one was another cache machine.
I think
out
it
there.
was too.
Well, there was one year that didn't you guys do one cache a month for an entire year?
We did,
So-
even a little bit more than that. That was 2019, and that was really the start of our difficulty sometimes having events work out the way we planned them.
Okay, well, that's what we really are talking about tonight is when events go wrong. So we wanted to talk about some of those difficulties that you've had hosting events. You've kind of turned it into a new style of events, I think.
Yeah. So
Unintentionally.
so the end of 2018, I thought, what would be fun, and that's always something that Jeff shudders when he hears.
Oh boy, here it comes.
We should host an event, at least one, every month of 2019.
Because we've been attending a bunch of them.
We were having fun. We thought this will be good. We'll give back. It'll be fun. So we decided, okay, we'll do our first event January 1, 2019.
And committed to ourselves to do one once a month.
We get the cache page up. We decide we're going to host this event.
People start, putting
Yes,
on
they're
will
going to
attends.
come. Yes, it's going to be great. Everybody's like, great, kicking off the year with it. And we find out that the restaurant we want to host this at is closed New Year's Day.
Like, what restaurant is
Like,
closed New
Who's
Year's
closed
Day?
New Year's Day?
Yeah.
Okay. No problem. So we try a few other places.
Several.
Nobody's open New Year's Day. It's the holiday. They're not going to be open. What? Seems like a no-brainer to be open on a holiday where you might have people, I don't know, going out to eat.
As someone who, if I make a commitment, I will move heaven and earth to keep my commitment. And so I was starting to panic. We've got a bunch of will attends. There's people planning on doing this.
We finally just said, forget it. And we posted something on it. Sorry, we can't host this event. It is just not going to work. So,
And then we started getting feedback. No, you
people
guys
are
should host it
contacting
anyway.
us. No,
Should
you've
host
got
it
to go.
anyway.
You got to do it anyway. We're like,
Oh, so we
move to plan C.
decided
D.
to
I don't
be
even know what
flexible.
it was at that point.
and okay, let's just have it at the location we're going to have it, but we'll just have it in the parking lot. They're going to be closed. They're not going to care. They won't be there to know. So let's just go stand around in the parking lot.
So we stood in a parking lot in the evening.
January 1, it was not warm.
It was not warm.
I remember that. I was there.
actually
It
really
was
fun.
chilly.
Everyone stood around. We had a good time, for being, like I said, it was more like not plan B, but more like plan C or D or something.
P for parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody laughed because here we were having an event in a parking lot.
But it turned into one of those events that you felt sorry afterwards for people who weren't there because it was just such a good time.
Mm-hmm.
We've been going to a lot of events, and so all the people that were showing up were people that we'd become friends with over the previous year at all these other events. And we just stood around in the parking lot and talked and laughed and
shared caching stories and swapped intel on puzzles and whatever. It just was fun.
Yeah. And so, it kind of taught us a lesson after that look, it doesn't have to be something real fancy or, a ton of planning, although, planning is good. But you can still make it into something fun. Just be flexible and, change with whatever changes need to take place and just keep going.
Connecting with people is what.
So our next cache that year was also in January, where we celebrated my birthday and Kitsy Meow, if you remember Kitsy at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that we made it indoor to a restaurant. So
it
that
was the same restaurant.
We actually made it inside at that point. The Taco Soriano.
So this is what it would have been like 3 weeks ago had it not been closed. So kind of a continuation. And then just kept holding them every month after that. And I think by the end of the year, we had 8
parking lot
events.
So the
for
next,
a variety of reasons.
So the next I'd say cash event fail was actually February, because we were going to have what we called an event about nothing at a Seinfeld themed restaurant called Little Jerry's in South Tacoma. And we, so we're all excited. We're going to have this Seinfeld theme event. It's going to be great. And we're just about to the time we're going to host it.
A few days before.
And the guy who owns the restaurant and who is also the cook has to have surgery, and the place is going to be closed. So there went that event. So we're like,
deja vu all over again.
Truly an event about nothing then. Only we decided we would just pivot, because we learned our lesson from the January 1 event. And so we moved venues to the Homestead restaurant
and changed the title to an event about something,
because it couldn't be an event about nothing now. It had to be an event
and
about
the something was breakfast. So just made a pivot, and it was enjoyable. And then a month or two later, when Little Jerry's was open again, we made it back.
We did actually make it back there.
So
and then,
we're all about redemption,
we are.
If we can't have
a true redemption story.
if we can't have it at your place the first time, we're going to try again.
We'll try again. Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't, the title tonight was When It Goes Wrong. It's when it goes unexpected.
There you go.
How we would like to look at it.
So other parking lot events, a lot of them were by design in order to meet the guidelines.
To play within the framework of the guidelines.
Right, that are required. So for example,
some of the guidelines that were things that we had to try to find solutions for.
Which we didn't realize going into it.
It has to only be at one location. Of course, it can't be about finding
a cache.
Right.
So you
Those
can't,
are probably the two
yeah,
biggest things, because we wanted to do some adventuresome things. We had a kayak trip.
right.
Oh, and it can't be moving. You can't go from one location to another.
So, for example, we went over to Vashon Island, and we wanted to kayak. There's a cache that's really only accessible by water, and then up the embankment to this. I guess it's a park, but it's not accessible from the road or anything. So we wanted to, go.
And it was
find
lonely.
that,
It hadn't been found in a couple of years.
But you can't have an event to go get that kind of cache. So we held it in the parking lot right after you get off the ferry. And I think everybody but one person went paddling with us, and it was a miserable
It started, when we got
day.
there, it was
Raining.
raining.
It's raining and it's cold, and then it cleared.
About halfway there, it was probably a 2 mile
sun
paddle.
came out, and the sea life. There's little seals around us, and it was beautiful. It ended up being
Turned into a gorgeous day.
really
I
nice.
was like, okay, look, we're just going to be wet and miserable for the couple miles it's going to take to paddle there. We're going to be in soaking wet clothes when we get there. The woods are going to be soaking wet. Just might as well swim back. It was going to be one of those. But no, really, it turned into
it rained a little bit, and then it cleared, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll say another memorable fail was we met in the parking lot for the Mima Trail in the Capitol Forest. And we were going to, we had to have our event in the parking lot, because the intention was afterwards, anyone who wanted to join us was going to go get the green beret hide that is on the Washington History Challenge. So
which we'd been working on at the time. And,
that
so
was
we
one
were
of
trying
our goals.
travel to some of those. So, had our event, and then anybody that wanted to, it was like a 3 mile hike there, not a strenuous hike or anything, but
3.5 maybe. It was 7 miles round trip. So we did a lot of hiking that day.
So this is like a multi or something. We found the waypoints, and I think there was probably about 20-ish people there,
including at least one who had found the cache in the past.
And after looking for about 2 hours, we
We
DNF'd.
DNF'd.
Hmm.
We
That's
look
good.
and we look and we look. Yeah, it was, and it was. I think it was gone because then the we did go back later, not as an event, but with whoever wanted to. I think we just posted something on the cache page, and we went back
And found a road to drive in that was about 200 yards from the cache.
Of course,
Of course there is.
you had to drive quite a ways, but yeah, that was yeah.
So, you know, some of these in parking lots were because we wanted to do, you know, something
A fun
fun and
activity
unique.
with people.
We
did a night
and make
cache.
it social.
You didn't do that one. I went without you for that one. We went on a biking. We on Chehalis Western Trail. We did a bike ride that year. We went up to Mount Si.
Yeah, the hike up.
That was
hike up Mount Si.
after
First
COVID.
event after COVID.
After they
Okay.
because we were doing events one a month until they shut down the events for COVID.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That wasn't in that year, but yeah, that was
that was
right
the
after
next year.
COVID. So
Well, we've
COVID
got
kind of got in the way of our events and our that one we couldn't overcome.
Yeah.
Kind of had to wait that one out.
you're not alone on that one.
Yeah.
You're not we've got a couple of comments here.
I was gonna say, yeah.
One from IHAM says, back early on, there was an event in the South Sound that kept reusing the same GC code for a monthly coffee meetup.
Oh,
I think we attended the same event for 4 months in a row.
that's hilarious.
That's novel.
Yeah.
Well, apparently not, because Wet Ghoster says there was a monthly event in Edmonton that did that for over a year. HQ finally
Nice.
archived it.
See, that's what I was going to say, because as I recall, if you don't archive your event, there's a 30 or 60 days, and
Yeah.
if
You
it's
don't archive
archived,
that, we'll archive it
that's
for
right.
you.
Your
Mhm.
event's done. We're archiving it. So I think they got
Caught onto that.
yeah. They said
Yeah.
no more of those recurring events, but that's interesting that they would have those.
Yeah. And that was something I was going to ask you is, do you archive the events yourselves, or do you wait for
You
the
can,
auto?
or just
If you don't, they will archive
will,
them after.
right.
And like I said, it's 30 or 60 days. I can't remember, but
I'll do it if I remember.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to kind of
Yeah.
automatically.
mhm.
So,
Now, I know you can still log it after it's
Yes.
archived.
Right.
Right. So, but I always feel guilty of like, well, what if somebody got busy? They didn't do it. Now, oh, too bad. It's archived. Too bad for you.
Well, they probably have to search at under the hider's name
Yeah.
to be able to find it if they don't
Exactly.
have the GC number.
but there should be a little pain that goes along with forgetting
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
log.
there-
Yeah.
You know,
That's true.
So now our worst attended event was just you and I.
yeah, we had an event with nobody there.
Hmm.
But to
And
be
you're probably
honest,
thinking, how could that be? Who would not want to go to a Team Noltex event?
How can that be?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Go ahead, Jim. Who would not want to be at a Team
I
Noltex?
can't imagine who would not want to be at a Team Noltex event.
Jim Stun. As it turned out, we were going to be traveling in Africa on World International Geocaching Day.
or something like
And
that.
you, of course, could get a souvenir if you held an event on that day or found a cache. Well, finding a cache wasn't an option, and we knew that. So let's hold an event. Now, we also knew we were in Liberia. There weren't likely other cachers in
Probably not
Liberia.
going to be any.
But we held an event,
We
and there
did.
were snacks.
We did. Yes,
and
right. We had snacks.
Prizes.
Yeah, we did
Whoa.
good.
Yeah,
Who-
we
who
both
won?
won prizes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but nobody attended but us. But we were okay with that. So
We tried.
you know, again, you adjust your expectations.
Right.
It's because there wasn't a parking lot handy.
But it was a compound.
Was
Yeah.
there a
Okay.
restaurant nearby that you could have met at?
That
Oh,
wasn't-
funny. Wet Coaster says, I held a New Year's Day event a couple of years ago. But there you go. New Year's Day may not be the day to hold events. I'm just
30
tossing it
centimeters
out
of
there.
snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With about 30 centimeters of snow. The park was closed. The event still happened.
Yeah, we had one where inclement weather was a factor too. This
Mhm.
was
Today.
well, today wasn't too bad, honestly. It was February 2, 2022, so it was 2/2/22, and we had an event at the Twin Rinks in a parking lot, so because we wanted it too, and we had it at 2200, so 10 o'clock at night.
I think I
And
went to that one.
you probably
Yeah,
did. It
we
was
did.
about 22 degrees
Degrees,
Fahrenheit.
yes.
So
Yeah.
-5 Celsius
Yeah, I
for
think
Canadian listeners.
I think I was
yeah,
there
it was
too.
freezing. And we stood around in the parking lot, all of us getting cold, and
With
most
our
people
hands in
kind
our
of,
pockets. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
But again, it was just a good time.
Yeah.
Just had fun with friends, and that's the part we really enjoy is getting to see your old friends. We've been caching for over 20 years. We've got some old friends now from geocaching,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
we've made some very good friends. But then to meet new people too, it's like, oh, I've seen your name in some logs. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can put a face with a name.
Well, you
I-
talked about ebbing and flowing, and I remember you went through a cash slump for a while, and then through an event to celebrate getting back into it or something. And that
Yes.
was kind of almost a family reunion, seeing old friends
Mhm.
and meeting new. I met Buddy and Kitsy at that event. So
Yeah,
that was fun.
so
That
we
was
had-
one of our
we
best
had-
attended events, actually.
we had stepped away from geocaching, life, kids, all that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And we had, if you look on your statistics, you have, a streak or you have a slump. And we had a slump of 592 days that we hadn't found a cache. And so we started back in. And again, coming from her, she says, "Hey, what we should do?
Here's
we
my
should
New
do-
Year's resolution. We should get a cache every day this year. It'll be
No,
fun.
I think it was a month. We started as a month.
No, I think it was every year. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
So as our streak went along, we hit a year, and
Then we
it
did
was like, wait
another
a minute,
year.
our slump was 592. We should hold an event to beat the slump. So we scheduled the event for day 593 of our streak,
which we made.
Which I think we ended at 1132 or just
Yeah,
some
we
weird
did past
number.
3 years.
So we held an event on day 593 and called it Beating the Slump. And it happened to be during the week of geocaching block party.
So we had people
So we had people from all over
out
the
of
country.
state, which was
Nice.
really
that
like,
came to
wow.
it. And
We had a barbecue.
yeah,
Yeah.
had it in
Wapato
Wapato Park
Park.
again.
Yeah, where we had
And-
found our first cache. And it was just a lot of fun. And people just sitting around and meeting new people and swapping stories. It was just fun.
We found that food at events is popular.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, this was popular because we just
And
provided
we've
it, but-
hosted several meals at different events. At the couple cache machines we've done at that. We did an event. There was a cache machine in Tacoma one year. I think that was in January. Another very cold day.
Yeah.
And we decided, it'd be nice to have a lunch stop because people are going to be cold and hungry and all that. And we've done a lot of cache machines, and it's like, it'd be nice just to have a stop during the day. You can get
Yeah.
in someplace warm. So we found a church that was on the route that we could host it in, and I think we made like 10 or 15 gallons of soup, and hosted this lunch, and I think
And that was probably our best attended because, of course, it was during a cache machine. So we had somewhere between 75 and 100 people probably come through on that particular event, which, of course, was, wasn't just us doing it. There were others helping us, which was really great. But it was a fun event as well, seeing so many people. And yes, they were appreciative because that was a miserable cold day too. Yeah.
Yeah, we were kind of glad to be indoors serving soup.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I had to work that day. I remember hearing stories about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. We've got our, we use the same logbook for almost all of our events. So it's like this little time capsule of who was there and when it was and all of that, which is
You
really
just
fun.
mentioned that before the show, and I thought that was a brilliant idea.
Yeah. I would recommend it if you're somebody who's going to do a bunch of events,
Mhm.
and we just flip the page and then on to the next event. And but then you've got just, oh yeah, here's, like even some people who are no longer with us, like Subman or
Yeah.
Peach and Pete, there's the name in here, and you just kind of
Nice.
remember those days.
People who have changed their caching names.
Yep,
are in there.
there's one in there that somebody's changed his caching name, Chris of the Northwest.
Who would have thought notebooks and geocaching would get along so well?
I know. What are the chances of that? Let's see. We've got a few more. Keats94 says, I hosted an event in Sydney, Nova Scotia. The other Sydney. A geocacher from BC was on the cruise ship nearby. They could see my event, but they couldn't attend it. Didn't know until later that they were even nearby.
Oh, you could paper airplane the log sheet in or something,
I'm virtually.
Well, apparently you don't need to sign the log.
That's actually one of the
one of the
guidelines.
rules.
You don't have to sign a
Apparently.
physical log.
That's one of the new changes is there's no physical log required at an event.
Huh.
People always are looking for one, and
Yeah.
it's good, etiquette to have one, but
Right.
you don't absolutely have to. IHAM says, one time we were visiting Branson, Missouri, hosted an event at a Starbucks, hoped to meet some of the locals. Only attendees were a couple passing through town, no locals.
Oh, wow. Oh, that reminds me, Buddy and Kitsy Meow, they said that when they would travel, they would always host an event, meet Buddy and Kitsy Meow, and they would find local cachers that would help them, kind of see the area, find out what
Right.
caches were worth seeing or how to get to places. So that's a very good idea. We haven't really done that exactly. So
Yeah.
Other than in Africa.
and we didn't meet anybody. So
Wet Coaster says, I've never heard anybody complain that there's a log sheet to sign. That's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
people look for the log sheet.
Yeah.
They want something to sign.
Exactly. It's kind of been ingrained into the psyche of a geocacher. It's not real unless you sign it.
Yeah, I think that's how people feel like, oh, I didn't really attend the event if I didn't actually sign the log.
In fact, I think one of the first cache machines that Travis L did, that he had forgotten a logbook, and so he passed around the ketchup bottle.
Yeah.
And then that became
the tradition.
That became the tradition after that everybody just signed the ketchup bottle from the restaurant.
And I like that, and I've used that. Let's sign something unusual here.
Yeah.
Just something random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I brought a plank of wood one time. There. It's a log sheet.
Actually, yeah. Nice.
So, not too long ago, I tried to host 2 events in one day. That's when I found out that events less than 20 miles apart have to be separated by at least 2 hours. Right.
And how would you know? How would one find that out?
Well, the funny thing about that is there are guidelines online that tells you all about it. But, I have to be honest. I didn't read the guidelines. So I had to move the second event half an hour, right? Because I did it 2 hours from start to start. And it has to be from finish to start that it's 2 hours.
I'm actually surprised they'll let you host more than one event in a day.
Yeah, well, as long as they're 2 hours apart or
Interesting.
more than 20.
Yeah, because there is stuff in about stacking events.
Exactly. That's what they're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, 2 hours is the magic number that it's not stacked.
So are there any events that you guys wanted to host, but later found out it didn't fit into the guidelines?
We've generally been able to find a way, again, to work within the framework of the rules, because you do have to satisfy the reviewer. And, we're not ones that we're going to go back later and change it after it's been published. You find a way to, to still hold your event and then do this other thing that you'd also like to do.
So I think a good example of that is we wanted to, this was in 2019 when we were doing an event a month, and we wanted to march in the Anderson Island Labor Day Parade and hold a geocaching banner, and we had little cards to give out for geocaching, free 1 month membership, and you decorated your Jeep and everything. And they said, nope, you cannot have a moving event. It can't be moving.
And we're talking physically, not emotionally moving.
Yes, I'm sure people were really moved. They went, oh, geocaching. Yes, it's right here. Anyway, so we ended up, that had to be, we met in the parking lot then, and
where the lineup was for the parade,
where they queued people up. And then we just said, if you want to march with us, you can, and if you don't, you don't have to. But I think everybody,
if you don't want to be one of the cool kids, stay
exactly.
here.
Stand on the sideline, and you can just wish you were in the parade
and catch candy instead of throw it.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a parade,
right?
I think didn't we title one of them
I think
that?
we did.
Yeah.
I think we called it.
Yeah, everybody loves the
something
parade.
like that.
Yeah.
I went to one of them,
parade.
and it's an easy walk, and of course everybody's
Island,
looking at you.
It's a very prototypical small town America parade where half the population is in the parade.
It's like a step back in time, honestly.
Yeah.
It kind of is.
Simpler times, where the entertainment might be going to watch a parade, and just about everybody in the town is involved in the parade. So it was
We've done
one
it twice,
that we
actually.
The second time was during the community celebration, and that one they really did not want us standing in a parking lot for 2 hours, because remember, those community celebrations have to be 2 hours. So I think we finally had to agree that we would be at the coffee shop, and in order to be able to hold that community celebration, even though it really felt like we were representing geocaching. But
yeah.
Well, there are more community celebration events coming up next year. There's some guidelines to meet to get those. But speaking of the guidelines, now, you said earlier, in order to prepare for this episode, you actually read the event guidelines on geocaching.com. Was there anything there that surprised you?
It surprised us.
I don't think I even read them.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then.
Well, I think it was
them.
just it was just the things like, like you couldn't really get together a geocaching group to go to a Mariners game, for example, because you can't make people pay and
it also has to follow the commercial cache guidelines as well.
Right.
You
can have it at a Starbucks, but you can't make people buy coffee at the Starbucks, that kind of thing.
You can have it at a barbecue restaurant, but you can't say it's a delicious barbecue restaurant, as I recall.
With stuff like that, right? Anything that might be promoting the restaurant. Yeah, we got in trouble with that at one point too, where we had to change verbiage because it looked like we were, I think we said, oh, Tacos Coreanos had such great food or something like that. And that was like, you can't say that. So we had to okay, scratch that out. All right. We won't say it's good food. We're taking you to a place that's not.
It's a learning process.
It was a learning process.
Yeah.
By the end of that year, we got pretty good about knowing what we needed to put to be able to host the event and still have it what we would want to go to ourselves.
Well, and I think the reviewers do a good job of guiding you through that.
Sure.
Without beating you over the head. They're like, hey, you know what? We have to change some words here to fit the
and I'm fairly accepting. It's like, look, if that's what it is,
the rules are the rules.
I'm not going to argue with you about
Mm-hmm.
it. I'll just try to find a way to make it work.
Right.
And play within the framework.
Yeah.
Right.
I did hear that there might at some point change rules about being able to go get a cache, like going up to Mount Si. We did that, or to the Green Beret. I don't know if that will happen or not, or if it's in process, but we had heard rumblings about that perhaps changing sometime.
And I've hosted a couple of events, hey, we're going to go do a hike. Like we hiked to Monte Cristo without bicycles, by the way. And
that is good advice.
Yeah.
And around there's really nothing early in the morning that's open. There was a Chevron McDonald's combination. Is that we'll meet there, and then we'll carpool if we need to up to the trailhead.
Because
But
we learned we could stay in the parking lot and have the event.
yeah,
That's right.
exactly. But that was as close as we were going to get. And there were people who came who didn't go on the hike with us.
Sure.
Yeah.
Into the
Right.
event.
And that's
Like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
That's what we've found too. There may be a couple that for whatever reason they don't go on the hike. Maybe they've already found the cache that you're intending
Right.
to go get.
Yeah.
And
I
they
think
don't
that,
want to
you
have
know,
fun.
we're trying to create an opportunity to to go and do an activity, to get together with with other geocachers.
And sometimes there are activities that maybe you wouldn't go do as a single geocacher, like paddling on Vashon Island to this cache. Maybe you
Right.
wouldn't want to go out on a kayak by yourself, but if you find out that there's a group going, it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, and
For
I
sure.
think we probably had people along like that. And same thing with maybe hiking up Little Mount Si. We went up there, and yeah, maybe there's people who wouldn't want to do that hike by themselves, but would be interested with a group.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the podcast tonight and talking to us. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
We're going to do
And-
a little business, then we'll come back and check in with you here.
All right.
That's right. And our business, of course, every week is to take a moment and thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism. They are our corporate Denali level sponsors. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online. They ship online orders daily. And for absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, go check out exploregoldcountry.com. Also to thank the rest of our faithful Denali level supporters, all of them. That is Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism, but it's also Groovy Owl, Cool Cow Cachers, and Cachely, the geocaching app. If you want to know more about supporting the show, as we mentioned, go click that Patreon link. It's over on the cachingindalia.com website, don't you know? Just like some people here did.
Like Flagman
And Subway Mark.
and Segehove.
Just finding our way.
Nervous Energies.
M Nerf.
Wet Coaster.
Kid Vegas 19.
Boomer 365.
RE54321.
Great Casher, Terrible Lunch. Gas Station Tuna.
Great cachers, great podcast guests, Team Noltex,
Oh, how about those guys? Kev MacD.
J Car.
Hey, we have a new one, GeoBirder.
Well, welcome, GeoBirder. Another recent new one is Railroad.
Hey, how about Peach of Washington, maybe this month?
Maybe Washington, maybe Vegas. I
All
can't
right.
keep track of where she is, but let's see. How about Butterfly Girl? Recent addition.
Trexer.
Seebeck Tribe.
Dora Moore.
Antaeus.
Mountain Bike.
GeoNav Pro.
Al Aerobrick.
B Pendragon.
Geocaches.
Logwork.
BC Rockcrawler.
GSM ×2.
CRS 98.
Genies.
MC3 Cats.
Skyhawker.
Green Words.
Kitty Quest.
LG 9000.
Just Carlo.
Corscott.
UDAC.
Limax.
Whidbey Island Gal.
Camp Clan.
Wino Seattle.
Ackerdock.
And You Talks to Rocks.
I saw some of those people just today.
Wow. You
about
think there
that?
was a good day for events or something?
It must be, some people did 9 or more. Wow, that's impressive. Hey, Team Noltex, we're back to you. If listeners wanted to get in contact with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Just come by the house. Say hi.
You
Knock
probably have
on the door, we'll let you in.
Okay.
No, through the app, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Team Noltex. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably the best way.
Send us a message. We're pretty
Friend
good
request.
about. Yep, pretty good about answering those.
There you go.
Yeah.
I can vouch for that. I have reached out to you that way.
Or
Yeah,
find
people-
them at an event.
Or an event. We haven't committed to anything, but
Uh-oh.
we would like to host more events
Yeah. we
coming
probably
this year.
will.
So
All you need is Christy to go, hey, I bet you can't do this.
Right? Or those New Year's resolutions. Those will get us. Whew.
Yeah.
I would just stay away from January 1st.
I get nervous around the end of December of what occurred. What we might
Now
do-
what?
Well,
All right, wrap
folks,
us up, Chris.
thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, please click the Patreon link on the cashingnw.com website. If you didn't like the show, I read this every week and you'd think I'd get it right, but I still mess up. If you didn't like the show, please let us know what you want us to talk about. Now, if you like the vibe, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. You could win prizes. If you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. And of course, you can always call into 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or meet us at an event any time of the day or night. And of course, you can always email us at feedback@cashingnw.com. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. This show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, Jay Kennedy, Brian Lang. It's licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2024 by Chris Umfenauer. Folks, I ask you to stay tuned for...
Just jumped right in there, didn't it?
Yeah, I know. Whew.
Take a breath, man.
Okay, Wet Coaster says January 31st or December 31st and January 1st souvenirs.
That's
hold
right.
events.
The geocaching souvenirs are usually pretty cool for those dates.
Mm-hmm. But they've spread them out to a week now, I believe, either side.
True. I think that was something that sprouted out of COVID, but not sure.
Let's see. Seebeck Tribe got 3 events today.
All right.
And
I think I saw
maybe a new state. I can't
I was
remember.
going to say, I think I saw she's traveling too. So.
Yeah. Just Carlo, who got up at 2 a.m,
Right.
said, not many for me, just the bare minimum to earn a souvenir, 2 events, 2 lab stages, and 1 physical multi-cache. I may have to go out and do some adventure labs or something tonight to make sure I get that souvenir because I didn't get enough yet. Breiling, for the FATAS, he earned 3 Leap Day add-ons to the attribute cacher, or the attribute cacher, the environmental cacher, and the lab cacher today.
Well done.
Wow.
Nice.
Nice. All right.
I love this one from Wet Coaster. After a 2-year delay in Geo Woodstock, how can anybody say their event went wrong?
Fair enough.
True that.
I don't know. I suppose you could build a really cool gadget cache and have the first guy testing it break it before a major event. I just
It happens, I've heard.
hypothetically speaking, I don't know.
Yeah.
I still have the handle up in my my work thing.
I have never seen you look more frustrated in the whole time I've known you.
I'm not sure frustrated is the correct term.
I was trying to be polite.
It's a family-friendly term.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kitty Quest says, I just realized my total number of smileys for the day is 28. Didn't have any goals around that, but now that I've noticed, I might just have to go out after the podcast and get just one more.
Yeah, one more.
For sure.
Seems necessary.
It does.
Yeah.
That's when you want those lamppost caches. I'll tell you what.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
When you're doing a streak,
It's dark, it's late, it might be raining, whatever. You're just
during our streak, we had emergency caches stashed
Set
nearby.
aside.
There was one like a mile from the house that we didn't find it until after 3 years.
Yeah.
We just held it
in abeyance
the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay.
In case we
We
need
know where
something
this one
close
is.
by.
Yep.
And we can go find it at, anytime.
Yeah.
Because there was some days that were touch and go.
Skyhawker says, I got 6 FTF todays, 2 multis, 2 where I goes, 2 puzzles, plus 3 traditionals, an event, and a CETO for a total of 7 icons.
Wow.
Oh, where is he right now? That's doesn't even seem possible.
Well, he's with
Six
Peach of
FTF.
whichever state she happens to be
in Arizona or something. Nice.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe Las Vegas.
I think it's
Okay.
Vegas, but
Well, good on him.
Yep. Breiling found 29 caches / events today and completed 5 Adventure Lab stops.
Good job.
there you go.
Wow. Impressive.
And Kitty Quest is heading out to get one in a few minutes.
Okay, good.
You go.
She needs to.
Yeah.
Folks, thank you so much for joining us. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.